everybody, welcome back. We are still here getting started with Bing Ads. We're moving into our third module of the day, so thank you all so much for being around the world and being with us. The third module is where we start to get advanced, and Bethany is going to take us through a lot of the advanced features. We're going to talk more about ad extensions. This is actually a very big favorite of mine. In terms of driving engagement and getting folks more likely to click and look at your ad and actually click through and perform that action that we're looking for, ad extensions are a great way to do that. Dynamic ad text, also keyword parameters, we're going to get into more specifically. This is, to me, a really clear differentiator of the Bing Ads platform also, so we're going to get into that. Without further ado, I want to hand it over to my wonderful colleague Bethany to take us through a lot of these more advanced features.
Thanks, Alan. I appreciate your compliments. So we're going to start with what Alan said was one of his favorites. I absolutely love ad extensions. What ad extensions enable you to do is add relevant information to your ads without taking away from that minimal character limit that you have. So that headline, description lines, you have very few characters. These just add on to the ad that you already have displaying. So there are 3 different types of ad extensions that you can run with your ads. The first one are site link extensions, and these will basically extend your ad with additional links to other pages on your website that will show below your ad. Second is location extension. This is really good if you want to drive people to your store. So if you want people to actually come in, if you're a restaurant or a retailer or services that you want people to come into your store, definitely use location extensions. And then the third one are call extensions. So if getting people to call into your business is one of your main goals, you definitely want to take advantage of call extensions. What is also great about these when we start to visualize what these look like is if these are showing below your ad, that's pushing everything else down on the page. So you're pushing your competitors down whose ads may be below yours and making yourself more visible. With all of these ad extensions, they just work to improve your overall click-through rate because it's improving the visibility of your ads. So the first one that we're going to look at, which anybody can do, this will apply to any type of account as long as you have more than one page on your website, are the site link extensions. So you can see here, they just display as clickable links below your normal ad. So you write your ad like normal, and then you would just add in the extensions that you want. Make sure that each of these extensions does direct to a unique page. So you don't want all of them going to the home page. They need to go to somewhere unique, but they're a great way. I mean, think of that. That's a whole nother ad space that's being pushed down on the page, making your ad twice as visible now. So let's go back to the example of Mary. Let's say that she is going to run an ad on the keyword of Boston bakeries. So people that are just looking for bakeries in Boston, they're not specifying what product it is that she might sell that they're looking for, but she wants to enable site link extensions below her ad to show all of the products that she carries. So one site link each for the different categories of goods. So cookies, breads, pastries, and wedding cakes. And what is so great about site link extensions, and actually all of these ad extensions, is they are so easy to set up. So all you have to do in your site links, there are 2 elements. There's your link text, whatever it is that you want that link to say, again, completely up to you, within 35 characters. No profanity, all the regular ad restrictions apply, but whatever it is you want to say, that's what you type into the link text. Destination URL, same thing as with an ad, where do you want that site link to direct to? And again, you have the same 1024 character maximum to add any additional tracking that you might want to add onto your URL. So all Mary has to do, type in what she wants the link to say, type in where she wants it to go. You can add up to 10 in a campaign or ad group, but what you have to note is that not all 10 are going to show with your ad. So typically I have seen between 4 and 6. I try to stay between that number. So if I have ones that I definitely want to show, I have 4 pages that every time I want these 4 to show, I'll keep it to 4. So you don't have to add in 10. You have that option, and they'll kind of just rotate through. So again, if it's a limited number that you definitely want to show, don't feel like you have to add in all 10. Now, how that will look for Mary now, if she adds in one site link for each of her different good categories, she'll now have this displaying below her ad, making it much more visible. And what I also noticed from looking at reports is people are still tending to click on the headline. So click-through rates overall are going up. Majority of the clicks are still happening on the headline, a few on the site link extensions, but it's overall making your ad more visible. The second extension will apply again if you have an address for your location where you want people to go, and that is the location extension. So that will display as an address with your ad and a clickable link to get directions. So if somebody clicks on directions, it's going to open up a map with your location on it, and they can easily find and see where you are. Again, use this if you want to drive traffic into your store. What is great, again, about all of these is the ease with which you can set these up. So there's a few steps that you have to go through, but they're all pretty self-explanatory. When you're setting up a location extension, choose the campaign that you want. Name your business. You should know what it is, so just type in your business name. Enter your phone number, and we'll come back and talk about this in a little bit after we go through call extensions. You can change your map icon. There's a few defaults in there if you want to play around with those. And you do have the option to upload a business image. Now, the last step, and probably the most important, is actually entering in your address. That's how it's going to determine where the mark shows on the map. But once you do that, again, you're ready to go. You hit save, and now you're going to see your address, the phone number that you entered in there, and then the clickable link to get the directions. So again, might not apply to everybody, but if you do have a location, definitely use these. Again, getting your ad more visible, pushing others down on the search results pages. Now, the final one, and what is really cool about this one too, are the call extensions, and these actually show as clickable numbers no matter what device you're on. So again, something that is unique to Bing Ads. I can click to call this call extension from a mobile device, tablet, or desktop utilizing Skype. So pretty cool. Click it, call you right from my desktop. It doesn't have to just be on a mobile device. Now there are 2 ways that you can set up call extensions. And the way you determine how to set this up will affect how the call extension works. So the first option is to just use your own business phone number. Now, when you do that, you lose that option of having a clickable number on desktops and tablets. So your ad is only going to display that clickable link with mobile devices. That's it. It will show, again, your phone number, but it's only going to be clickable from mobile. The other option is to use what's called a Bing Ads forwarding number. So it will assign you a phone number. You can choose between toll-free or local in the settings, and it will direct to the number that you put in for your business. This is the option that you have to choose if you want to have that clickable link across devices. So when you're thinking about what is important, is it important that people call you no matter what device they're on? Have to use a forwarding number. If it really only matters that they call from mobile devices, if they're on the go, you can choose to use your own phone number. So the 2 main options there. And we'll jump in and take a look at how, again, easy this is to set up in the interface itself. So you want to select the country or region for your phone number, then enter in your phone number. So whether you're going to use a forwarding number or not, enter in your own phone number so that with the forwarding number, they do know where to direct the calls to. And then you can choose, here's the option for either using a toll-free number or a local phone number for the forwarding ad. Again, up to you. Whichever one kind of makes more sense. If it's kind of a national chain that you have and you want it to be toll-free, choose that one. If it's a local business, you want to make sure you have that local number, then you want to select that option. Now you notice that below that, it shows only on smartphones using my own phone number. So again, it does, if you happen to forget, alert you that if you choose to use your own phone number, it's only going to display as a clickable link on mobile devices. So that's the option for that one. Now, what is also pretty cool, again, showing you how much control you really do have, is whether you want to, if someone is looking at your ad on a smartphone, do you want the phone number and the ad to be clickable? So they can click to call, or they can just click your ad and go to the landing page for that mobile ad. Or do you want to have everybody call? And in that case, what you can do is choose to not have your actual ad clickable, only the call extension. So you're removing that option and kind of directing people to actually call into whatever phone number that you are directing your forwarding number to. So I think that's a really cool option. Again, making people do what you want them to do. You have that control when you're thinking about how people are going to interact with your ad on a mobile device.
And just talking about forwarding numbers and call tracking, this is hugely important because first and foremost, there's a lot of third-party companies that do this. Mm-hmm. They will happily charge you. They use a similar type of forwarding number to track where that call came from. If we think just a few years ago, how people would track back actual calls to their business, they would get on the phone and they would say, "Hey, how did you hear about us?" And hopefully you'll get some sort of semi-accurate representation of, "I saw your ad in the phone book," or "I saw your ad on a Bing search query." Now we can really definitively say where these things are coming from. And I think when we come from a data analytics company, but when we think about how do we know how well things are working, you can try this out. You can look at statistics around how things are performing, and you can make that judgment for yourself. With everything that we're saying today, with all of these features, with all of this functionality, I would absolutely encourage people to try these things, see how they work for you, and when it comes to expansion, when it comes to adjusting or modification, we always stress that you need to do what is performing well. Bethany, you said this earlier, just because you have all this ability, just because you have all the segmentation at your fingertips, doesn't mean you necessarily should. So with things like this, these work really well. There's dramatic improvements in click-through rate or call-through rates, whatever you want to say. Anyway, I think these extensions are, it's a really great addition to search engine marketing, and it's really powerful.
Yeah, more visibility, more relevant information for your customers. I absolutely love ad extensions. Use all of them that make sense. Again, if they make sense for your business. So if you do want to drive people, location, you want them to call extension. And again, except for the case where you have a one-page website, I can't think of any example of a business that can't use site link extensions. So again, an example of how Mary's ad would look if she was using the forwarding number, and this is how it would appear on the desktop. So click right from your desktop. I really love that feature, and you can call right from there. Now, when I was going through location extensions, you might remember that there was a place to enter in a phone number. So you can have a phone number with a location extension. You can also have a call extension. And this table with lots of text
This is a very extensive table. This is the point in the show where I would screenshot this or print this out as a PDF. This is really more of a reference point.
Yes, I'm not going to walk through everything in this table, but I do just want to point out kind of the main options that you have. So again, you can use a phone number with your location extension. If you do that, it will just appear as a click to call on a mobile device. If you're using a call extension, same thing, click to call mobile device. If you want it to be click to call on all devices, and you want to be able to track the data, you want to use a forwarding number. So that's what you want to think about. Important for people to click no matter what device they're on, and important for you to track the calls that are coming from call extensions. If the answer to either of those is yes, then you want to choose to use a call extension with a forwarding number. Again, look throughout this table, kind of get an idea of how they work together, but those are the main points you want to remember when deciding which option works the best for you. So moving on from ad extensions, we're going to talk about a pretty cool feature called dynamic text. And as a very quick overview, basically what it does is it lets you create one ad that'll be customized based upon the user search term and the keywords within your ad groups.
If you're not careful, this seems like the absolute perfect solution to do everything from one ad group. There's a very big asterisk to this section, which is all of the things, all the fundamentals that Bethany has gone through with structure and writing good ad copy. We don't let go of those, but this is a point when a lot of you are going to look at this and say, why don't I just do this for everything? So that being said, we are not condoning that. I'll
call out some of the issues that might occur as well if you decide to do that. So we're going to take an example here of a user who is searching for sugar cookies. And Mary, again, this isn't something I would recommend structuring an ad group around, but for example's sake, to really get an idea of how dynamic text works, let's say that Mary has an ad group that has these 4 different cookie keywords in it. So one ad group, these 4 keywords. What dynamic text will do is, depending upon what keyword was matched to the search term, it will then use that information to create a custom ad. So if the one matched to pecan cookies, then the ad would be specific to pecan cookies with only having to create one ad. And we will get into the specifics of how you set these up. But it can insert dynamic text into the 4 main elements of your ad. So the title, the text, the display URL, and the destination URL. You want to be very, very careful with the destination URL. So when you are inserting the keywords into the ads, it's going to insert it into the destination URL. If that page doesn't exist on your site, you don't want to do this, because it's going to try to direct your ad to a page that doesn't exist. So let's say the destination URL is marysbakery.com, and then it adds in pecan cookies at the end of the destination URL. If that page doesn't exist with that keyword as it pulls into the URL, it's not going to direct them to a page. So ad title, ad text, display URL, it's only going to affect how your ad looks. The destination URL, it's going to affect where your ad goes to. So be very, very careful, if I haven't stressed it enough, with the destination URLs.
And Bethany, why is it so bad that we send somebody to a page that doesn't exist?
Well, because then you're paying money to send people to a page that doesn't exist.
The point of my question wasn't even to point out that you're paying money, but also I go to a page that doesn't exist, I click through that ad, I immediately downgrade that advertiser in my mind as a reputable business. I think it's a bad user experience. I'm in no way interested in even trying to find their actual website. So I think, great point.
Yeah, if one page doesn't exist, I, as a user, am going to assume the whole site doesn't work. So there's something fundamentally wrong with the site. I'm not going to try to search it myself. You want to, I mean, Alan keeps mentioning how lazy he is. You want to make it as easy as possible.
I shouldn't have said
that. I'm going to remember that forever now.
I shouldn't have mentioned that.
But you want to make it as easy as possible for people to find the information that they're looking for. So careful, again, with dynamic text and destination URLs, but it is available to you. So we're going to take a look at the code, that I call it, that you have to create. And wherever you put this code will determine where the keywords are pulled into the ad. So again, this can be put in the ad title, ad text, display, and destination URLs. So there are 4 main elements to this code formula. First one is the braces. This is just what encloses the dynamic text. So by putting the braces around it, I am telling Bing that I am going to type in the dynamic formula here. This is where the keyword is going to be inserted in order to create a custom ad. Simple as that. Now, keyword, you want to write the word keyword. So you type out the word keyword. As we go through this too, very cool feature, very easy to make a mistake. So you want to type out keyword. How you capitalize it will determine the capitalization of the keyword from your ad group and how it appears in your ad. And we'll go through that in the next slide or two of the different types of capitalization options available to you. Then you have the colon, which just separates your keyword from your default text. And now default text. Don't type default text. Instead, you want to type what you want your ad to show if the keyword can't be pulled in.
So you type keyword. You do not
type default text unless you want your ad to say by default text. And you probably don't unless that's what you're selling. But don't type default text. Now, default text isn't required. So you don't have to have default text. But you want to. I do it 100% of the time because if a keyword can't be pulled into the ad, and the most common reason for that is that the keyword would extend either the title or the text or the display URL beyond character limits. So if there's no default text to insert instead, it just won't show your ad. So if you want to guarantee that an ad will show, even if a keyword can't be pulled in, put default text. Again, there's never a time when I don't have some default text in there because I want to guarantee my ads the most visibility possible. So capitalization, again, when you're typing the word keyword into the formula. Few different ways that you can do this, and you want to choose the option that is going to make sense based on how you format the rest of your ad. So first, you can capitalize K and W in keyword, and that's going to capitalize the first letter of each word in the keyword that's pulled into the ad. So if you capitalize all the words in your ads, that's the one you want to use.
We didn't talk about this in the last module, but first of all, the very first one that you're showing here, keyword with K and W capitalized, I know with us, and when we're talking to clients, we usually capitalize the first letter of every word in our ads. I would say that a really great way to do, a really great reason to do that is because it just makes, again, it makes your life easier. You don't have to think about proper nouns. You don't have to think about, should I capitalize the or a and not capitalize other things. It just makes life a lot easier, and there's a lot of different ways to adjust the way the terms appear in there. I forgot about that in the last module. I want to make sure that was important to me because as you start getting into, yes, you write 5 ads, it's really easy to modify these. But if you're writing 500 or 5,000 ads and you have to get into controlling the capitalization and all of this type of thing, you got to get uniform about it and be efficient about it. So I think that's why this is really important.
And there's great Excel formulas that can control capitalization as well. Exactly. That I like a lot. So yes, if you're going to capitalize every letter of each word, which is what I do as well, then you want to capitalize K and W in the word keyword. Now, if you want to do all lowercase, and that's how you write your ad, so let's say that the keyword is going to be inserted in the middle of the ad text, and so you want it to be all lowercase, then you just type keyword all lowercase. And then let's say it's at the beginning of the ad text, so you want just the first letter of the first word capitalized, then you'll just capitalize K. These are the 3 main ones you're going to use. I don't think I've ever used any of these other ones, but there are other options available, and use these if they make sense for the keywords that would be inserted. So the final 3 are capitalizing all letters in Word, so capitalizing W-O-R-D, and that'll capitalize all the letters of the last word in your keyword string. Then the flip side of that, capitalizing K-E-Y, capitalizing all the letters of the first word in your string. The main example that I can think of for this is if you have keywords in your ad group such as, let's say, NYC hotel. So you want to use capital KEY, word, to make sure that NYC is capitalized. But do keep in mind that you want to make sure that will work for every keyword in your ad group, because any keyword, whichever one is the one that matches, will be pulled into the ad, as long as, again, it doesn't exceed character limits. So you want to make sure that whatever formatting you choose will, again, work for all of the keywords in your ad group. And then if it makes sense, capitalizing all of the letters of keyword will capitalize all the letters in all of the words. So again, first three, probably the ones you'll use 99.9% of the time. The other three, if it makes sense based on the keyword that is going to be pulled into your ad. So this is an example from Mary's Bakery. If she wants to use a dynamic ad for the ad group, where she has the 4 keywords of the 4 different cookie types. So she's inserted this code into the ad title, the ad text, and the display URL. And you can see here that, yes, she did put in default text, and you do want to make sure that you're capitalizing your default text however you want it to show in the rest of your ad. And what I want to point out here is that when you're inserting it into these different places, you don't have to use the consistent capitalization. So you don't have to use the same one. You can choose whichever one you want it to be.
And just to that point, Bethany, because that means something very specific to me. In your example here on the screen, you're showing the destination, or excuse me, the display URL in green. And we can't capitalize that term, so keeping that lowercase keeps it consistent with the look and feel of the display URL. Things all look the same. It's just a really great way. At the end of the day, why are we doing this?
Relevancy.
Relevancy. We're doing this because now the ad has very specific, tailored copy without us actually having to do much of anything. We've got exactly what that person is looking for. To me, if I'm searching and that's what I see, I'm more likely to click on it. Hopefully, I'm more likely to go through, and I am that targeted user. So
yeah, it's just making the display URL appear that you're going to direct them to a very relevant page, which you want to make sure you do with the destination URL itself. Now, something that might come up, and will probably happen again if you do have a variety of products and services, is that there can be different discount amounts or sales percentages here, different expiration dates, different pricing for different items. So not all of the discounts in this example for the keywords in her ad group are the same. So if we're looking at this, oatmeal has a 15% discount, sugar and chocolate chip have 10, and pecan has a 5% discount. Now, looking back at her ad, we see here that it says save 10%. So if we keep this ad as is, and it triggers for oatmeal or pecan, the ad's going to be incorrect. And if I am a person who clicked from oatmeal and I'm promised a 10% discount and I see 15, okay, I'll probably be excited. But if I'm a pecan searcher and you promised me in your ad 10%, and I only see 5% when I get to the site, I'm probably going to be upset with you. So you want to make sure, again, that anything that's reflected in the ad is correct with what's reflected on your site for the different products and services that you have. So what is a very cool feature is the keyword parameter option within Bing Ads. So what you can do by going into the interface, and you set this up right in the keyword tab where you have your keywords listed in your ad group, but you'll create a keyword parameter. And in that parameter, you'll just type in exactly what you want the parameter to say when it's pulled into your ad. So you assign the percentage amounts to each of those individual keywords. Now, depending upon whatever keyword is triggered, it will insert that discount percentage into the ad when you use the parameter dynamic text.
This is a feature that I keep saying this, and I feel silly when I say this, but when I started with Microsoft Ad Center, this was one of the first key features that Bing Ads now had incorporated, and it's this idea of utilizing these parameters. It's basically extra information that is ultra specific. And we are getting into more advanced functionality. We are getting into ways, again, we keep saying relevancy, but we can't harp on that enough. The idea is that if we can include things like percentages off or other specific information about that thing, about that cookie type or whatever it is that entices the user or the searcher. We want to put that in there. And so these parameters give us that much more flexibility to do that. And I think it's, for those of us that are really savvy and really looking to stretch and extend how good these ads can look, this is a really cool feature. I honestly don't think it's utilized enough. I don't think enough advertisers are pinpointing it on this and able to really articulate it well.
Yep, I definitely agree with that. It's rare that I'll see dynamic text used a lot, but it's rare that I'll see the keyword parameter used, even when it is something that would be beneficial for the client to have in there. So how you format this then is you would just, instead of typing in keyword, you would type in param2 so that it knows what parameter to pull in. And then again, you want to make sure that you have default text there so that if it doesn't fit, the default text will be able to show with the ad.
And I like your example. I can either save a percentage off or I can just save money.
You know, I had to find something because remember, you have to find default text that works
just
for
save money.
Everything in there. So, and unfortunately, which will happen a lot when you're writing ads, save at least 5% was too long and exceeded the character limits. So yeah, any default text, again, make sure it makes sense for any keyword in the ad group that could be triggered. So now, and when we're returning to the ad group and the keywords within that one ad group, by just writing that one ad with the dynamic text and the parameters, you're going to have 4 different ads depending upon which keyword is triggered. Now again, not an excuse to have one ad group with 1,000 keywords in it and then have one dynamic ad. I have seen that happen a lot too.
We see that a lot.
A lot. And most of the time when that happens, they're all directing to the same landing page, which isn't beneficial either because you want them to go to relevant landing pages, which again, you can do, making sure that the dynamic text does create a functioning landing page when it's inserted. But some other things that I just want to call out that I've seen a lot is if you are using singular versus plural keywords in your ad group, either one can be pulled in. So you want to be very, very careful. What I recommend doing when you're writing a dynamic text ad is to read it out loud with all of the keywords in your ad group, making sure it makes sense. Because if you are just bidding on running shoe, and that's what's pulled into the ad, I've actually seen that happen, it's going to look like you're selling one shoe when you're probably not. You're probably selling both of them. Seems like a better strategy.
They're usually purchased in pairs.
I mean, maybe there's a market out there for people that have lost a shoe. I'm not sure. But you want to make sure that singulars and plurals, any different stemmings that you might be bidding on, misspelling, sometimes people will bid on misspellings, that you don't want anything pulled into the ad that's going to make it look unprofessional, I guess is the best way to describe it, because you want to have your ads look, again, professional in order to build trust with the consumer. So that's dynamic text. Again, a feature that is very great. Make sure you understand how to use it before you use it, and it's not an excuse to ignore account structure. So what we're going to move on to now are content ads. And this kind of moves us out of the realm of the typical search engine results page that we're used to showing ads on and takes us into kind of the content world of showing ads on web pages. So what you can do with the content network is you can target very reliable sites that have a lot of traffic to them and show your ads on these pages across both the Microsoft and Yahoo networks. But I want to talk a little bit about the difference kind of between these audiences.
Sorry, really quick, Beth, I don't want to cut you off, but when you say show my ad, are you talking about that same text-based advertisement, my same 71 characters and my keyword inserted into the title, the same thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, same exact text ad that you're writing for search. You might want to write a different ad for the content network targeting, depending upon what you want to get from the audience on there, because they are different. But yeah, it'll pull the same text ads, same character limits that you'll have in your ad groups and just put them on these content web pages. So the audiences, when somebody is searching for something in a search engine, and it's going to display your text ad on that search results page. They are already thinking about whatever it is that you have to offer, assuming that you are bidding on relevant keywords. So they are already in the purchase funnel, the conversion funnel. They're already thinking about what it is that you have. People that are on content websites most likely aren't. So they can be just reading news articles, whatever it might be, but they're not actively searching. And that's kind of the differentiator between the two. So that's why when we talk about bidding, you really do want to bid on those audiences differently, because they are very different with what they're looking for, different parts of the conversion funnel, and you have to think about the value of each of those people. What is great about the content network, again, is the reach that you have. So if you want to expand your brand name and try to bring in a lot of new customers, the content network is a great way to do that. So when you're thinking about how to get your ads on these web pages, there are two different ways you can choose to do this. The first is you can use keywords. Remember that match type that we talked about, content match. You'll set those as the match type for your keywords. And then what Bing does is it compares those content match keywords to the keywords on the pages on their network. And when there's a match between the website content and your keyword, those are the sites that your ads would display on.
So it's a contextual match.
Contextual content match.
Contextual content match. Gotcha.
And then the other option is you choose what sites on the content network you want to show. So it kind of takes that middle step away of Bing figuring out where to put it, because you're telling them where to put it. So I want to show on this group of pages on the content network. Your ad's going to show on those group of pages. Very simple. A lot of control, again, over where your ads are going to be shown. Now, to set these up, you would go through this process when you're bidding on keywords, just like you would for a regular search campaign to show on the search engines. So you want to select the bid type of keywords. This drop-down box is where you will signify whether it's a keyword or placement targeting option you want to use. Then you'll enter your keywords, again, just like you would for a regular campaign. Only this time you want to make sure you're choosing content as your option. So that's what's signifying to Bing that using these keywords is what's going to determine where on the content network my ads are going to show. So that's when you'll utilize the content match type. Then you'll enter your bids, same thing, keyword bidding, and I find that clicks on content ads tend to be cheaper than on search ads. That's just my experience. And then you're good to go. There will be a few advanced options that you can set here when you save it. So you can choose whether to show ads still on both search or just content. I do recommend splitting out. I like to do it at the campaign level if you're going to target content versus search, so that you can have those separate budgets, because I might want to put more budget towards one versus the other if I'm more focused on branding. I want to give more budget to content. If I find that the search visitors are going to convert faster, I might want to put more budget towards them. So you can target them together. I like to do it separately.
Again, all of these features, we're giving you information about all of these different features you can utilize, just like Bethany said. Another key reason why we split this out from our other search campaigns is so we can test it. Mm-hmm. We can tell you about all of these features and functionality, but unless they work for your particular business, your particular site, and your traffic kind of goals, then we can talk all day about it. But realistically, give it a try, set up a new campaign, adjust the match type to content match, just like Bethany was saying, and give it a try. See how the ads perform on these content pages.
So then the other way that you can choose to set up your ad groups, so instead of selecting keywords, you would want to make sure that you select placements. And then in this example, we are choosing to target the content sites on the Microsoft Media Network. So you would just select that box. And what is really cool about this is when you're doing placement targeting, you will get this additional box that opens up and will tell you what types of ads and what ad sizes are available on those content pages. So here you can see that there are text, and again, you'll use the same text ads the way they're set up. You might want to change the messaging, again, a different audience, but now you can also pull in these image ads, which you can't do if you're just running on the search engine results page. And instead of having to make all of the sizes that are available, you can come in here and see which sizes are the ones that would show on my selected placements and only worry about making those sizes. So again, you don't have to do as much work if some of those image ads aren't available on the placements that you select. Then just like you can place bids on keywords, you can place bids on placements and adjust it up or down depending upon which placements you find to be more or less valuable. So that is the content network in a nutshell. Again, you set the targeting at the ad group level, but I would recommend creating them in 2 different campaigns, just again to control budgeting and making sure that things are working how you want them to. But it is a great way to get your ad out there in front of a lot of people and bring new visitors to your site and turn them into customers. So the last kind of advanced feature that we're going to touch on is actually something that we've touched on here and there throughout the first 2 modules a little bit, and these are the campaign exclusions. So why you would want to exclude? Well, likely everybody that's on Bing is not going to be your target audience. And sometimes it's easier to try to minimize that audience than it is to try and maximize that audience. So what you can do is add exclusions to narrow down and reach your target audience. So whether you are targeting or adding target exclusions, the goal of both of those is to find that right audience to show your ads to. There's just some cases where one might be easier to use or more preferable than the other, and we will go through some of those examples.
So we're not talking about match types at this point. We're talking about excluding in a different way, where earlier we were talking about the fact that we utilize match types to go after a very broad or very minimal audience by utilizing the different ways they search and the different ways our ads match to those search types. This is entirely different.
Sort of. So we are going to talk about negative keywords, which do kind of pull in with match types, but I'm going to say yes with where you were going with that.
With an asterisk.
Yes, yes, exactly. So you can limit your audience by adjusting match types. But you might find that there is just one keyword that you really don't want to show for, so you add that as a negative. So that's the exclusion part of it. So it's not just restricting, again, using match types, but actually adding an element that says, do not show to XYZ people. So there are 4 different ways that you can exclude from your campaigns. You can do location. So you can say, I don't want to show to people in these locations, instead of saying, I do want to show to people. Negative keywords, as we mentioned. Websites, so when you're on the content network, you might find there are some sites that you don't want to show on. You can exclude those. And then another one that is probably overlooked a lot, but can be very important, is IP address. So we'll go through each of these individually. But when you're thinking about when you choose to include versus excluding, so let's say that I ship products to everywhere in the United States except for Alaska. I can include and add all 49 states except Alaska, which would probably be annoying and time consuming. Or I can say, I want to target my ads to the United States, but I want to exclude Alaska. So now it's 2 steps that you have to do instead of having to add each of the states that you do ship to individually. So again, they are going toward the same goal, but it's just which way is going to be easier when you're managing your account. And when you are excluding, you can do same levels with the countries and regions, states or provinces, metro area, and cities. The only one that you can't do is by radius, but you can get down to the city level. And something else just to call out that I get asked about sometimes is, remember, you only have to exclude really if it's an area that's part of where you're targeting. So if I'm just targeting the United States, I don't have to exclude Canada. So things like that. You only need to exclude what's within the area that you're targeting. Now moving on to negative keywords. Again, we have touched on this, but I want to talk a little bit about some strategy on this slide. So again, the example that we talked about before was Mary wants to bid on gourmet cookies, but if anyone is searching for gourmet cookies recipe, she doesn't want to show. Now remember, with match types for negative keywords, you only have available to you phrase or exact. So if you're using a phrase for this negative, the search term would have to include gourmet, cookies, and recipe in that order without any words in between in order to not show. And that can be something that is very specific, and maybe there's only a few people searching on that. It's going to be even more specific if you use exact match. So what I like to do when I'm looking at negatives is think about what is it in this search term that makes it a negative keyword for me? What element of it? Is it the whole phrase? Or in this case, it's probably just the word recipe. Do I want to show ads for anybody who's looking for any type of recipe? Probably not, because again, they're looking to do something in their own home. They're not looking to go out to a bakery. So you want to think about, how can I add this negative in order to exclude the traffic I want to exclude without accidentally blocking keywords that I'm bidding on. So in this case, I would probably just add the word recipe as a phrase match negative, again, because you don't have the option for broad, but that will knock out all search terms that have the word recipe in it. So that's what you want to think about. How can I exclude the most irrelevant traffic without accidentally blocking any relevant traffic? And what's great, and what Alan will talk about a little bit, is in case you accidentally do that, Bing again has a way to show you if you do happen to block any keywords that you're bidding on with your negative keywords. So the third type of exclusion, again, are website exclusions. This will only apply for the content network. So if you're not planning on running on the content network yet, you don't have to worry about it. But this way you can say, okay, I want to run on this group of placements, but I don't want to run on, let's say, this one page. So maybe Mary doesn't want to show ads for cookies on the weight loss page. She can choose to exclude it. Or maybe she wants to target, healthier cookies in a different ad group with just these placements. But she can choose to exclude either a website or a specific page of a website that she happens to be targeting. So you, again, have that different levels of control. And then the final option, which I highly recommend doing, is excluding IP addresses from seeing your ads. So what happens a lot is that when you start running ads for your own company, other people from your company will see it and they'll get really excited and they will click on your ad, and then they'll come back and say, hey, I saw our ad and I clicked on it. And then you're going to say, well, stop doing that because you're spending money and you're probably not actually converting. So if you want to not allow people from within your company to see it, you can exclude IP addresses, and then they won't be going kind of click crazy on the ads that are showing.
And to that effect, not a huge problem for Mary and Mary's Bakery when she is most likely the sole employee. Imagine a company like Microsoft with thousands and thousands of global employees seeing ads represented. Could absolutely be an issue. And
people do get excited when they see ads, and they want to see how they work and where they go, and they'll tell you all about it. So excluding IP addresses, very important part that is, again, often overlooked. And with these exclusions, kind of like with the targeting options, you do have the control over where you set them at the campaign or ad group level. However, the only exception is IP address. So IP address is just tied to the campaigns. The other ones you can set at both, and they will work hand in hand. So if I have negative keywords at the campaign level, and then I have separate negative keywords for this one ad group, this ad group will not show for the negative keywords within the ad group and not show for any negative keywords at the campaign level. So they kind of layer on top of each other. Think of like, I don't know if an and statement is the right way to describe it, but it'll utilize both of those exclusions together for your ad groups. So that is the end of our advanced features, just some of the key takeaways to remember from today. So definitely take advantage of ad extensions. It'll increase visibility. Everyone can probably use site links. Use call and location if they make sense for you. You can create customized ads with dynamic text, but again, use them carefully. And it doesn't exclude you from focusing on best practices for structure. You can also choose to boost your brand exposure by running ads on the content network, so getting your ads out there and making your company more visible. And then finally, you can enhance your ad targeting by choosing exclusions that make sense to help you narrow down your audience. So I want to thank you guys for sitting with us through this third module. We're going to take our final 10-minute break, and then we will come back with the editor and some optimization techniques.